Chapter 17. Restoration. ATLATIA was no longer the beautiful country filled with gardens and flowers. The vegetation had either been destroyed by the volcano or the earthquakes and torrential rains. Now what once had existed as public gardens were fields of weeds and dead carcasses of trees and bushes. The care for the parks and gardens just didn't exist. There was too much to be tended to. Many buildings were destroyed beyond repair, and others sat in their crooked stance, awaiting mending. The once beautiful marble streets of Alta were now upheavals of great cracked stone. Some streets, however, were under repair by things supervised by a regiment of enforcers. Since Helm and the sons of Belial had assumed power, a new institution of their authority had been created, called the Enforcers. They were the police of the reigning order. It was like entering another world. In ATLATIA they never had a need for police. Now there were new rules to abide by. The sons of Belial had always felt that things were more beasts of burden than human beings, and therefore were no longer going to be accepted. All things were required by law to be sent to a transitionary center for control. The transitionary center was really a hospital. It was there that tiny crystals were implanted in the brains of the things to take over control of their minds. After the surgery, they would operate much as a robot. They could not think for themselves, but would obey any order given by its instructed commander. When I learned of this, I was horrified. I told Miram of this new procedure to see if there was anything we could do to stop it. She asked me to bring one of the afflicted things to the Temple of Sacrifice and performed her own operation, removing the horrific crystal implant. Her operation was successful, but this was only part of the problem. These things were hunted down like animals and would be rounded up for their trip to the transitory center. We had to find a way to protect them. After our arrival home and the incident with Gomo, Miram decided to set up asylum for the Lemurians in the tunnels of the temples. The Lemurians were grateful and assisted by showing their appreciation by cleaning and repairing the temples. At the moment, Miram had no idea other ideal than to let the things join the Lemurians in refuge in the tunnels. It wasn't an ideal situation, but the Lemurian people were a joyful people and happy to be with those of their kind. They would sing, chant, and pray together. They had cleaned the tunnels spotlessly, making tight accommodations for themselves. It appeared to be one of the happiest spots in the city. The things that joined them were made to feel welcome, and the two groups of people lived in harmony. As I walked down the poverty-stricken streets, I was aghast. Passing me were magnificent carriages being drawn by great textrons, extravagantly decorated. Inside the carriages were women of the sons of Belial, bedecked with jewels, holding their noses from the smell of the urine and garbage in the street. There never was such a differentiation between the people of ATLATIA before. They may have been different people doing different work, but never really class distinction. Ahead of me on the street, 4 men were harassing a pretty young Lemurian woman. They grabbed her baby as she screamed. I ran to assist her. "Leave her alone. She's hurting no one." I grabbed one of the armored enforcers by the arm. Before I could pull the enforcer off her, an arm came out of nowhere and hit me on the side of the head, sending me reeling to the ground. "It's not your affair," the burly man who threw the blow screamed at me. I tried to get up, but I was dazed and fell back for a moment, trying to get my senses. In less than a moment I was up, but it was too late. They had already thrown her in a wagon and driven off. I tried to catch up to the wagon, being pulled by 2 horses, but the driver had whipped them, putting them into gallop. Gasping for breath, I stopped. Suddenly a thought went through my head. The baby. I sped towards the spot of the ruckus. There, lying in a pile of garbage and debris, was the baby. It was wrapped in a shawl, crying. Carefully I picked it up, trying to comfort it. Having not had any experience with a baby, I was awkward as to what to do. I knew if I took it to Miram, she would have the answer. As I began to walk away, a boy of about 8 rushed up and tried to grab the baby from me. "You can't take him." The boy was angry in almost amusing way, was jumping up, trying to reach the poor crying child. When he realized that I was too tall for him to get a good grip on the child, he began to pound his fists into my stomach. Although only a tadpole, he made enough impact to be painful. With my free hand, I grabbed him. "Why? Who does he belong to?" The boy jerked around, trying to get free of my hold, but he could not. "To me. He is my brother." The sight of his mother being dragged away flashed through my brain. What would become of these 2 children? I knelt down to his level. Now relax. I'm not going to hurt you or your brother. Was that your mother that they just took away? The boy still did not trust me. Why? I showed him the bruise on the side of my head that the enforcer had given me. You see this? The men that took your mother did this to me. It was your mother, wasn't it? The boy began to cry. Yes, it was my mother. This is my brother. We have no home. I put my arm around him. You're going to be all right. I'm going to take you somewhere safe. A beautiful priestess will take care of you until I can bring your mother back. The boy continued crying. You'll bring my mother? I nodded. Come. I led the boy back to the temple. Miram was surprised to see me arrive with the baby and the boy. Sigun immediately volunteered to get the boy and the baby some food. The boy walked timidly into Miram's chamber. He was no longer crying, but looked scared as he looked at all the unusual surroundings. I turned to the boy. Miram, I don't know your name. I am Esser, and this is Miram. Sigun was the nice gentleman who was getting you some food. The boy watched as I handed Miram the baby. I am Pizarro. My brother is Elchi. My mother is Pumum. We are Lemurians. He waited for a negative response. There was none. Your brother is a beautiful baby, Miram told him. I'm sure you are both tired and hungry. She noticed the cut on my head. What happened to your head? She laid the baby on her bed. The enforcers grabbed his mother, and I tried to stop them, but they stopped me first. I'm going to find out what they have done to her. Take care of my new friends until I return. I gave her a kiss. You know I will. The boy found Miram's crystal ball and was fascinated. Would you like to see how it works? Miram asked him. The boy nodded shyly. She walked over to him and put her hands on the crystal. Scenes of Alto appeared in the ball. The boy was mesmerized. How did you do that? It is a special ball. The baby began to cry. Miram picked him up and caressed him. How long has it been since you and your brother have eaten? My mother's breasts are dry. I have stolen food, but it's not enough. They spit and urinate on us. I don't know why they hate us. He began to cry again. She put her arms around the boy. We love you, and we won't let anyone do that to you again. Sigund opened the door. He was accompanied by Gomo, who the boy recognized instantly. Telepathically, they greeted one another. Pizarro, it is good to see you, my boy. Pizarro ran into his arms. Gomo, he hugged him. Miram, aware of the telepathic exchange, informed me. It seems as though they are old friends. Yes, Gomo told them. We made the trek to ATLATIA together. His mother was abducted by the enforcers, I informed him. I was just on my way to go find her. Be careful, Miram gave me a concerned look. Gomo patted me on the back. Yes, be careful, my friend, and good luck.